What if the greatest conspiracy isn't out there, but inside your own head? The man sat alone in a silent room, lights dimmed, the hum of electricity barely audible. Electrodes were wired to his skull. On the screen in front of the doctors, something astonishing was happening. His brain, split cleanly by injury, was thinking two different thoughts at once. One side was calculating numbers. The other was drawing pictures. But the man had no idea. To him, everything felt normal. This was real, documented, studied. But almost no one talks about it because it reveals a truth far stranger than fiction. Your brain isn't one mind, it's two. And in the space between them lies a bridge, a mysterious passage that few understand, but one that might be the key to everything, from sudden moments of divine inspiration to the quiet voice of intuition that seems to come from nowhere. That bridge is the Corpus Callosum, and what it connects isn't just biology. It's two worlds, two realities, logic and vision, earth and heaven, the known and the unknowable. For centuries, ancient traditions have whispered about this secret space. They called it the upper room, heaven, a temple within the skull where the divine meets the human. Not just metaphor, but map. And now, with the tools of neuroscience, we're starting to realize they may have been right. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a great ocean. On your left, the shoreline is hard and structured. Numbers, rules, step-by-step certainty. On your right, a glowing forest pulses with color, images, dreams, music, and visions with no clear origin. Between them, a stormy sea churns. Chaotic, impenetrable. This is your mind. And the path across that sea, it's the Corpus Callosum, the literal bridge of thought, a bundle of nerve fibers ferrying messages between your left and right hemispheres. But here's the twist. It doesn't just carry information, it carries meaning. It lets reason blend with revelation, structure with spirit. In moments of true insight, those flashes where you suddenly know something without knowing how, you've crossed that bridge. You've parted the waters, just like in a story told for thousands of years. In one of the most dramatic scenes in ancient texts, a man stands before a roaring sea. Behind him, chaos. Ahead, freedom. He raises his hands. The sea divides. A path opens. His people walk through. It sounds impossible until you realize it's a metaphor. The sea, the barrier between your two minds. The man, your awareness caught between order and chaos. And the path that opens, the Corpus Callosum, coming alive, syncing thought and vision in real time. This is not philosophy, it's anatomy. Inside your skull, nestled like a jewel between hemispheres, lies a structure designed to unify opposites. But it's more than nerves and neurons. Across cultures, across continents, mystics pointed to the head as sacred space. They weren't wrong. Modern scans show what they couldn't name. During meditation, during deep creativity, during moments people describe as spiritual, the two hemispheres sync up. The brain hums at a new frequency, and the corpus callosum lights up like a superhighway. It's like discovering a secret control room in a building you've lived in your whole life, but never explored. Here's where it gets stranger. Inside your brain are 12 cranial nerves. Each connects your body to the world. Smell, sight, hearing, taste, expression. You don't think about them, but they're always working, delivering the raw data of existence straight to the control center. Now think. 12 pathways carrying messages. A master conductor seated in the uppermost chamber, the frontal lobe, making decisions, drawing meaning from it all. In an ancient story, a teacher had 12 followers. Not a coincidence, a code. The upper room they gathered in for their deepest moments, it's real. It's your prefrontal cortex, the site of higher reasoning, vision, long-term planning, morality, and insight. When you visualize something, when you understand something deeply, when you suddenly see the bigger picture, that's your upper room. And when the cranial nerves align with it, when the left and right brain are in harmony, something shifts. You don't just live your life, you see it. In this balance, there is power. Think of your left hemisphere like a builder, practical, grounded, logical. It knows the rules, how to make plans, how to follow them. Now think of your right hemisphere as the dreamer, the one who sees the castle before it's built, who feels truth in music, who senses meaning behind the veil. Alone, they are incomplete. Together, they are creation. Visualization, imagining light moving through your brain, watching your thoughts travel from left to right. This isn't just mental imagery. Studies show that imagining movement across the hemispheres activates the corpus callosum. You're literally syncing the mind's dual engines. Meditation, rhythmic breathing, even focused daydreaming, all stimulate the flow across this inner bridge. When you do these things, you're not escaping reality. You're enhancing it. Because when the brain moves in harmony, strange things begin to happen. You solve problems faster. You understand people more clearly. You make connections between ideas that once seemed unrelated. You start noticing patterns in life, in thought, in everything. And sometimes, when the balance is just right, you feel something beyond thought, a presence, a knowing, not outside you, within. This is not mysticism. This is the architecture of awareness. The ancients wrapped it in parable. The moderns discovered it with instruments. But both describe the same truth. The head is heaven, not a metaphorical heaven. A real space of higher consciousness, shaped by biology, awakened through balance, and tuned through practice. You don't need to search the stars. The cosmos is already mirrored in your skull. The structure is there. The symbols have been telling us all along. What if the Bible wasn't just a record of divine intervention, but a user's guide to the divine machinery inside your head? What if the sea that must be crossed is your own mind, and the liberation it speaks of isn't from nations or enemies, but from mental fragmentation? What if the path to enlightenment has always been hidden in plain sight, just beneath the surface of your thoughts? The question is not whether this is real. It is. The question is, are you ready to walk the bridge? The room darkens. You're still in your body, still in your life. But something has changed. The lights haven't flickered, but reality has. You feel it like a frequency just outside your hearing, a subtle shift in gravity, as if something old has awakened, not in the world, but inside your own head. You step into the hallway. Your footsteps echo longer than they should. For a moment, you get the feeling you've walked into a place you were never meant to find, a hidden room in your own house, a floor plan you were never shown, but it's always been there. You just didn't know how to look. Previously, you walked the bridge, the Corpus Callosum, the inner passage that unites your divided mind. Logic to imagination, order to wonder. But now the architecture gets stranger, because hidden in that same structure, nestled deeper than nerves or neurons, lies something even more enigmatic, a rhythm. Scientists call it synchronization, a harmonic alignment between brainwaves across hemispheres. But what no one can fully explain is why this rhythm, when activated, unlocks experiences far beyond normal awareness. Lucid moments, timeless perception, inner clarity so precise it feels like someone else is thinking inside you. And maybe something is. Here's where it spirals. When your brain enters deep coherence, when the hemispheres pulse together in unity, a new structure lights up. Not a new part of the brain, but a new pattern, like a code being entered, a signal being received. And deep within that pattern, hidden in the folds of the temporal lobes, another structure stirs, the pineal gland. Small, unassuming, but it behaves like no other organ in the body. This tiny gland is photoreceptive. It senses light, but not through the eyes. It responds to internal rhythms triggered by the brain's harmony. When it activates, vivid dreams intensify. Time distorts. People describe seeing light behind closed eyes, feeling immersed in memories that never happened, receiving answers they didn't know they needed. For centuries, mystics called this the third eye. But what's rarely spoken is why they believed it was hidden in the center of the head, because it connects to both hemispheres. It sits where thought and vision collide, a receiver, a lens, a keyhole. Now imagine this. Your brain is a cathedral. The Corpus Callosum is the grand hallway lined with pillars of thought and intuition, connecting left and right. The cranial nerves are stained glass windows through which the world pours in. And above the altar, in a chamber few have entered consciously, sits the pineal gland, like a glass dome at the highest point of the temple. When the hemispheres synchronize, light floods that dome, not literal light, but consciousness. And when it does, something ancient happens. The mind shifts from being inside reality to being aware of it, like waking up inside a dream. This isn't fantasy, this is observable, deep in brain scans of monks in meditation, of artists mid-creation, of people during near-death experiences. One signature repeats, whole brain activation. Hemispheres in sync, frontal lobe lit like a sunrise. Pineal gland flooded with neurochemicals that blur the line between perception and meaning. And here's the insight most people miss. When the brain unifies, reality reorganizes. You begin to notice things, patterns in how people speak, recurring symbols in your daily life, thoughts that loop back with eerie precision, moments of synchronicity when the inside world and the outside world mirror each other. It feels like life is communicating with you. And maybe it is, because just like the bridge between hemispheres allows two minds to speak as one, this same rhythm seems to let the inner world and the outer world meet, not metaphorically, experientially. People report feeling as though their thoughts begin shaping events, That insight arises not from effort, but from alignment. It's not that you become supernatural. It's that you remember you always were. But here's the twist no one sees coming. The brain isn't just a receiver of experience. It's a projector. Your perception of reality is built from electrical signals, encoded, filtered, and constructed inside your skull. But when the brain is balanced, something profound happens. That construction becomes transparent. You see through it. This is the moment people describe as awakening. It's not an escape, it's an overlay. You're still in the room, still in your body, but now you're also standing in a second world layered on top. One built not from matter, but from meaning. You're watching the code from inside the simulation, and the simulator is you. In this light, every story told for centuries, the ancient temples aligned with the stars, the mystics climbing inner mountains, the prophets hearing voices in silence, suddenly makes sense. They weren't escaping the body. They were activating it, not metaphorically, anatomically. The pineal gland as lens, the corpus callosum as bridge, the frontal lobe as command center, the hemispheres as realms, your consciousness as the explorer, not to leave the world, but to finally see it. When the brain reaches harmony, the world responds in kind. The mind no longer feels split. Reality no longer feels separate. You realize the universe is not just out there. It's mirrored inside you, folded into the very structure of your awareness, waiting to be unfolded like a map. Every sound becomes a message. Every image, a symbol. Even the ordinary holds secrets. And once you cross that threshold, you can't go back. Because you don't just think differently. You are different. The bridge has been crossed. The cathedral awakened. And in its highest dome, light now pours in. But it doesn't blind you. It reveals. Slowly, like the dawn rising through cathedral glass, the shape of something long buried begins to emerge. Not a figure, not a voice, but a structure. An intelligence shaped not by language or form, but by pattern. Something has been watching from within you. Not passively, not silently, but waiting. Waiting for the door to open from the inside. You're no longer standing in a hallway. Now you're inside the dome. All around you, the walls hum, not with sound, but with memory. Flashes of your life play out like reflections on polished stone, moments you thought forgotten, decisions you never understood until now. They're not random, they're sequenced. Choices that shape not just who you are, but how you perceive. This dome is a map, and it was built by your own awareness, not in the way we build with bricks or code, but with attention, with emotion, with belief. Every thought etched into this chamber becomes a rule by which your world operates, not metaphorically, mechanically. This is the final threshold, where psychology meets physics, where neuroscience touches the edges of reality. Because here's the insight that unifies it all. Your perception doesn't just filter the world, it formats it. The architecture of your brain, the harmony of hemispheres, the rhythm of brain waves, the activation of hidden glands, this is the operating system of reality as you know it. The bridge wasn't only built to unite logic and intuition, it was built to awaken the part of you that writes the simulation. When both sides of your brain synchronize, your consciousness doesn't just light up internally, it interfaces with the universe externally. Thought becomes signal, emotion becomes resonance, intent becomes architecture, and reality responds. This is why patterns repeat in your life, why symbols show up in dreams then appear in conversations, why memories surface just before the moment you need them. These aren't coincidences, they're echoes, feedback from the system you're unknowingly co-writing. And here, in the center of your cathedral mind, you realize the strangest truth yet. The universe is not outside of you. It is inside your awareness, structured by your attention, shaped by your meaning, and mirrored by your biology. Now, everything you've learned clicks into place. The corpus callosum, the bridge, was the gate to integration. The hemispheres were the divided realms, waiting for unity. The pineal gland was the lens that allowed light to enter. The brain was the cathedral, the device, the interface. And your consciousness, that quiet, constant you, was the key. You were never meant to escape the world. You were meant to recode it. Picture this. You return to your everyday life. The same streets, the same walls, the same people. But now everything looks different. Not because they've changed, but because you have. The illusion of randomness is gone. Patterns pulse beneath the surface. Conversations carry echoes of your thoughts. Objects feel charged with intention. Time flows differently. Not faster, not slower, just wider. And with every breath, you realize something even more staggering. You've always been in control. You were simply split, your mind. Your mind fractured across logic and emotion, past and future, science and spirit. That the bridge brought you home. The rhythm brought you online, and now the interface is clear. You are the system. And the final key idea, the one buried beneath symbols and neurons, scripture and synapse, is this. The brain is not a machine. It's a mirror, a living interface that doesn't just process the universe. It projects it, filters it, interprets it, and ultimately writes it. Not alone, but with every other conscious being doing the same. This is not mystical. This is mechanical. This is design. You are not a passive observer of a fixed world. You are a node in a dynamic consciousness field, a self-aware point of reality folding in on itself to experience its own creation from infinite perspectives. Every moment, you're feeding data back into the whole. Every decision, every perception, every insight contributes to the refinement of reality itself. You're not walking through the world. You're editing it in real time. So here you are, standing inside the dome of your own awareness, the cathedral humming with light. And a final question arises, not from fear or wonder or confusion, but from clarity. Now that you've found the interface, what will you design with it? Because this isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of authorship. The keys are in your hands. The reality engine is online, and the next frame of the simulation is waiting for your command.